Yes, sir.
Okay. So you guys start answering it, and you'll be dropping your answers in the chat box. I'm joining from the smartphone from my phone, and on that ID, you guys will be required to drop your answers. And if time permits, today we'll be beginning with a new chapter also, and we'll be beginning with the chapter sound today. Just give me a minute. You see the ID from which I have joined. You guys will be required to drop your answers on that ID. Okay, now? Hope everyone can understand this question. Basically, you have to match the options from column A to column B. Also, guys, is there some background noise from my side?
No, sir.
Okay, good.
Sir.
Just 1 minute. Yeah, Gauri.
So we have to answer in chat.
Yeah, actually, I'm rejoining from. Actually, I have renamed myself.
Okay,
Yeah.
sir.
I have joined once again, so you'll be required to drop your answers on that ID. So you will see that on this ID, you will be dropping your answers. Okay, now. For those of you who have already answered, please answer it again on this ID. And you can simply answer it like this: 1 is equal to which option?
Sir, I don't see the other ID.
You have sent on the other ID, I think, Shikrika.
Yes, sir, but now I also don't see the other ID where I have to send the answers.
Is that the case? Okay, that might be the problem because I might not be the co-host from that ID. Okay, let's do one thing. This will waste our time if we were to continue in this manner. Okay, now. So just answer it in the class, guys. Okay. All right, now. Until it is not visible, answer in the class only. For the first one, what you guys have answered? Puberty, what you have matched it with?
D1.
D1.
Okay. Menstruation?
I think secretes hormones. Like
See, for the first one, you guys are saying you have answered the D1 now. Okay, that is correct.
Yes,
Stage
sir.
of sexual maturity. Good. So that is D. Menstruation.
C1.
Monthly cycle in females. Good. And for testosterone, it is?
A.
That is male.
hormones.
Exactly. Male hormone responsible for puberty. And pituitary gland?
A1.
Secretes hormones that control puberty.
Exactly. So it will be secreting the hormones that will be controlling the puberty. Okay. And for the fifth one, that is?
B1.
Exactly. Is everyone present or? Okay, Khadija is absent today, no? Okay. There are total 10 questions here. So I'm going to appoint the questions, going to assign the questions from this one. Okay, now? The first and the third Chakrika, you will be answering it. Okay. The second and the third one, the second and the fourth one, Gauri, you will be answering it. And fifth and the seventh one, Roni, you are going to answer. After this, sixth and the eighth one, Abdullah, you are going to answer it. Okay, na? Is there anyone who's left? You guys start answering it.
The period of life when the body undergoes changes leading to reproductive maturity is called puberty.
Good.
The enlargement of the voice box, also known as the larynx, causes
Okay.
the voice to deepen in boys during adolescence.
Very good. So you also call this, this is basically larynx, and we also know this by the name of
Adam's apple.
Adams. Exactly. Yes. Next.
Sir, can I answer it in the end?
Okay. Okay. No issue. Roni, what about you? Roni, is your mic issue not resolved yet? If there's still some issue with the mic, you can answer it in the chat box then. Abdullah, what about you?
Sir, give me 2 minutes. I am just thinking.
Okay. 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 Take your time. Meanwhile, Chakrika, there are two extra questions, question number 9 and 10. Meanwhile, you can answer them as well.
So the ninth one is known as menarche.
Well done, Menarch. And the 10th one has the same answer as the first
Puberty.
one. Exactly. Okay, no? Chikrika, right now, what's going on in the school?
So metals and non-metals.
Metals and non-metal. Okay, that is going on. Okay. By the way, we had an extra class for you for that chapter.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. You have any doubts from that chapter? Any questions?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir. I do.
Okay. Can you drop the topics in which you're having doubt in the chat box?
Okay, sir.
Mm-hmm.
So right now,
Yeah, you can send it right now since others are actually busy in answering. So you can right now answer it in the chat box.
sure.
Sir, done.
Yeah, done. So what's the answer, Abdullah?
So
Or you
you
guys,
gave me fifth one. It's
uh-huh.
menstruation, and seventh one, I think it's from 10 to 15 years.
Okay, for the fifth one, what you have answered again? Repeat.
Menstruation.
Menstruation. Good.
Sir,
Just 1 minute. And for the eighth one, you have answered
Sir, it was seventh one.
seventh one. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Huh.
10 to 15.
Is the age when the reproductive organs in boys and girls start developing. Okay. So that is around 10 to
15.
10 to 15. Okay. Okay. That is correct. Yes. Gauri.
so second one is estrogen,
Hmm.
and fourth one is growth hormone.
Estrogen. Okay. That is correct. And for the fourth one, you have answered
Growth
Pit-
hormones.
no, not growth hormone. See,
No?
pituitary gland releases hormones that controls the onset of puberty. When the puberty is going to start, it is being controlled by the pituitary gland. Like, how do we know this? If we were to go back to this slide here, just 1 minute. What we have learned about that the pituitary gland, it will be secreting the hormones that will be particularly controlling the secretion of testes and ovary. How much of testosterone and when it has to be secreted, when progesterone has to be secreted, it is being controlled indirectly by the pituitary gland. And we know about puberty. Puberty is the time period when the individuals will become sexually mature in order to participate in reproduction. So it is being indirectly controlled by this pituitary gland when the testosterone, when the progesterone is going to be secreted, and these hormones are responsible for the development of the sexual organs. Getting it, no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So question was, the pituitary gland releases hormones that controls the onset. Onset means beginning of something. The word onset here means beginning of something. So it is going to control the onset of puberty. Okay, is there anyone who is left here? Question number 6 was left for someone to do. Roni, you still haven't answered it. Okay, others can answer the questions which are left. I'm not going to wait this much then. Yeah, during adolescence, the body experiences a rapid increase in height and weight, known as the, what do we call this?
Growth spurt.
Exactly, that is the growth spurt. Okay. Emotional changes during adolescence are largely due to the release of emotional changes during the adolescence.
Sir, is it adrenaline?
No, not necessarily. It's not necessary that it is adrenaline. Others also think of this question. Yes, Gauri, Abdullah, and Roni.
Sir, hormonal, or I think so.
Mm-hmm.
Hormonal change.
What kind of hormones it is talking about? Like there are different kind of hormones. Let me give you an option. Give some options to you guys. Like, is it adrenaline? Is it going to be? Repeat again.
Aldosterone?
No, not that one. There will be multiple answers for this question. Okay, now, is it going to be estrogen, progesterone, testosterone?
Sir, is this options or the answers of this question?
Not all of them are the answers. Only some of them are the options. Main question is talking about the emotional changes. Emotional changes, like there will be mood swings in the teenage now. They will be experiencing changes in their moods, right? And sometimes they will be feeling very excited. Sometimes they will be feeling very low. So these kind of changes are brought upon by the hormones like estrogen, progesterone, and in female, and testosterone in the male. So these are the hormones that leads to emotional changes during the adolescence. Hope you guys are able to understand this. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
While we learned about adrenaline, it has different functions to perform. It regulates the blood, it regulates the heart rate, and it has some other functions to do. It thyroxine, we learned about this. It regulates the metabolism. So they have got different functions, but particularly these hormones, they will be responsible for emotional changes as well. So hope that clears it out. It will be 1 minute. What happened to this pen? Yeah. So estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. So hope that clears it. Okay, now we have this question. Everyone read this question carefully. Let me just read the question and explain it. These are the 4 different options. You have to choose the appropriate one. Adolescents may sometimes act out or rebel against authority figures. Which of the following best explains why this behavior is more common during adolescence? So many times, the teenagers would be uh, rebelling against authority figures, like rebelling against sometimes the parents, sometimes the teachers, or sometimes against the person who holds some power and authority. So this kind of action is because of which reason? Is it because of the desire for independence and identity formation is increasing while they are in their adolescent age? Read the options and think of which one is more appropriate.
Sir, is it C?
C. Okay. Others also answer it. By the way, the answer is not appropriate, Gauri. Okay, na?
Sir, I think it's A.
A. Okay, okay. What about others? Abdullah and Roni?
Sir, I think it's A only.
Exactly. Okay, na? Because there's a problem with the option number C. You guys tell me what is the meaning of the word empathy here? Empathy is something like if you are able to understand the feelings of others. If someone is in pain, you can also feel sad for them.
Or
So
sharing.
yeah,
Sharing thought.
yeah, exactly. Right now, so the ability to understand the pain of someone, to be able to share the feeling and pain of others, that is called as empathy. So hormonal changes directly causes adolescents to feel less empathy. No, that is not true. It's not like they become sadistic or they don't have empathy towards other. That is not appropriate. The first option is saying that the desire for independence and identity formation increases as adolescents develop a strong sense of self. Okay, so that is the most appropriate one.
Like maturity.
Exactly. And second option was saying that adolescents' brain development causes them to lose the ability to understand consequences of their action. No, that is not correct. Adolescents have a greater need for conflict to resolve internal emotional turmoil during this phase. No, option number is the appropriate one. Hope this question was clear to everyone. And particularly, all these things are happening because of the hormonal changes in their body. No? There will be shift in the hormones in their body. Their brain is developing. They would be in search of their identity. That is one thing. Okay, so these are the jumble words. These are the jumbled words, and you have to unjumble them. Okay, and in fact, I have written the hints also here, so it will not be that difficult to answer.
So for the second one, I think it's already the answer.
Yeah, I also noticed that. Just do the first one. You guys can answer in the chat box. I mean to say in the class only. Okay. Just 1 minute. Yes, Gauri, Chakrika, Roni, and Abdullah. What's the answer for this question? Even hint
Sir,
has been written here.
almonds.
Repeat again.
Almonds.
What do you others? What do other you guys think?
No, but then there's a T in that.
Mm-hmm.
Sir, there is a T in that.
There's a T in it.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, yeah, I also noticed that. Okay, there might have been some mistake. It might mistakenly I would have written this while typing. Okay, no. But nonetheless, the answer is hormone. Okay, no. Because these are the chemicals that are released in the body that will be bringing about different kind of physical changes during the puberty. Okay, so that is hormones. Now, there's one more question. The influence exerted by people of the same age group that can affect an adolescent's behavior. That can affect an adolescent's behavior. What could be the appropriate word for this?
Peer pressure?
What do you guys think? Abdullah,
Same, sir.
same. Very good. So that is peer pressure. Okay. Now, which of the following is a primary function of endocrine gland? Is it to release sweat onto the skin surface, to produce and release hormones that directly goes into the bloodstream, or to secrete digestive enzymes into the stomach, or to produce saliva in the mouth?
B.
Option number B. Okay, others?
Option
Yes,
number
sir.
A, I think.
A.
Mm.
Okay, okay.
Sir, I think it's B.
It's B actually. See, we while we were learning about the glands, we learned there are two types of glands in our body. One is the exocrine, another one is the endocrine gland. So these kind of glands which we have learned, like the thyroid gland, the pancreas, or the particularly like the adrenal gland, particularly, or the pituitary gland, or the pineal gland, or the parathyroid gland. So the secretions of these glands were particularly going to the, except for the pancreas, the secretion of these glands are going into the blood. But while we were learning about these kind of glands, like the tear gland or the salivary gland, the sebaceous gland or the sweat gland. Sebaceous gland secretes oil and the sweat gland secretes sweat. So all these secretions are coming onto the surface of the skin now. Their secretions are coming to the surface of the screen or to the surface of the some organs. They are not directly going into the blood, so they were called as exocrine gland. But we learned about the endocrine gland now. If you guys were to look at this image here, particularly, if I have this image over here, what you guys can see here, as you guys can see here, this is the sweat gland over here, and there's a tube-like structure connected all the way to the surface of the screen. It is opening onto the surface of the screen. So this tube-like structure, we were calling this as a duct, D-U-C-T, duct. So this is a gland which is and its secretion is going onto the surface of the screen. It is not going directly into the blood, and a tube-like structure is connected to this. So this was the exocrine gland. But in the case of other glands in the body, like in the case, consider the example of the pineal gland or the parathyroid gland, their secretions are directly going into the blood. So they were the endocrine glands. Coming back to this question here, the question was saying that which of them is the primary function? So primary function is to produce and release hormones directly into the bloodstream. Okay. Next is, which gland is known as the master gland because it controls the function of other endocrine glands? Very simple.
C.
Yes,
C.
Abdullah. Yeah, Shakrika. Okay. Roni, you there in the class or not?
So can you go back to the second question?
Yeah, sure. Okay, did I mistakenly
Sir,
take the pancreas? Okay, okay. It's pituitary gland, sorry. Yes, you had the same question or like different?
yes, sir, yes, sir, it was the same
Okay, okay.
question.
I didn't saw it actually. Okay. Which of the following gland is responsible for regulating metabolism in the human body?
Thyroid gland.
Okay. Gauri, Abdullah, and
Same.
Roni. Same answer? Very good. What does the thyroid gland secrete?
Thyroxine.
Thyroxine is secreted by this. Very good. Then talking about the sebaceous gland, what does this secrete?
Sebum.
That is sebum. Sebum is basically the oil. Okay, now. And why is this oil important for the skin? Why is sebum important? The sebum that is secreted by the sebaceous gland, why is it important for the skin? It is important for the skin as it moistens the skin now. It moistens our skin, plus it prevents the skin from dryness. Prevents the skin from dryness. And to some degree, it prevents our skin from the skin cancer also. To some degree. Okay. What is the main function of the sweat gland in the human body?
Releasing
Option C.
Okay. Everyone same or different?
So same.
Same. Good. So it is to regulate the body temperature, and that it does through perspiration. Okay. Where in the body the sweat gland is absent, and where in the body the sebaceous gland is absent? If you to talk about the sweat gland, in which part of the body it is absent? And if you to talk about the sebaceous or the oil gland, sebaceous or the oil gland, both are same thing. Okay, now. So in which part of the body these are absent? Any clue about this? Yes, Gauri, Chakrika, Abdullah, and Roni.
Is there a particular body part or
Particular body parts like a sweat gland, for example, it is absent on the lips. Okay, now it is absent on the lips. Plus, it is absent in the parts of the ear also. There also it is absent. Okay. If you to talk about the oil gland, so it is absent on the palm and the sole of the feet. Getting it, guys?
Yes, sir.
So there it is absent. Okay, continuing to the next question. Which gland produces insulin or hormone that helps regulate blood sugar level?
pancreas.
Okay, very good. By the way, pancreas secretes one more thing. What is it? Apart from insulin, it also secretes.
Um,
Anyone? And that will be actually helping in maintaining the level of insulin in the blood.
so glucagon?
Glucagon, exactly. That is glucagon. And glucagon, we have learned how it functions. Like the glucagon will be stimulating the, if for example, if the blood pressure, blood sugar level drops very low. If the blood sugar level, it drops very low. So then what it will do now, the glucagon is going to stimulate the liver to release the stored sugar back into the blood so that the blood sugar level,
Medicine.
yeah,
Oh, there is a medicine which contains glucagon.
exactly. There are several medicines also that contain glucagon in it. That is one thing. Okay. Now there is this case-based study question here. Okay, this is the last question from this, and then we'll be continuing with a new chapter today. You guys read this question carefully and think of what would be the appropriate answers for the following questions. Okay, one of you know, please read the question aloud. One of you read it loudly. Abdullah, read the question loudly.
Yes, sir. Rahul is a 14-year-old boy who recently started high school. He has noticed several changes in his body and emotions over the past year. His voice has deepened, he has started to grow facial hair, and he often experiences mood swings. Rahul is also finding it challenging to keep up with his studies because he is easily distracted and frequently feels stressed about his academic performance. At the same time, Rahul is more concerned about how his friends perceive him, and he spends more time and his peers than with his family. He also has started to compare himself with his classmates and feels insecure about his appearance.
By the way, the word peers here refers to the friends. Okay, now the peers here refers to friends. So he has started to spend more times with his friends as compared to his family members. Okay. The first question is, which physical change mentioned in the case are typical signs of puberty?
First one, sir. Growth
Okay.
of
Okay. Growth of facial hair and deepening of the voice. Okay. Chakrika, what about you? Gauri and Roni?
same, sir.
Same? Very good. Roni, you haven't been responding in the class. Have you been answering on the other ID? Have you been answering on the chat box? No. See, if someone is not showing participation in class, I will be like their a review. Like you guys know, time to time your reviews are sent to the team. It is shared with your parents. So for your own benefit and for just for the sake of learning things properly, it is important to show active participation in the class. Now, it is not just for one particular student, but for everyone. I am saying this. Okay. Okay. Continue with the next question.
The option B.
Okay. Option number D. You are saying
No,
change in his
B.
B. You are saying okay. What about others?
The B1.
Yes, Chakrika. That is option number B. Good. So it hormonal changes that are common during adolescence. Okay. Okay. So that's it. We have completed this chapter. If you guys have any questions from any particular chapter topic, please let me know. Yes. So I'm just going to give a recap of or just be summarizing the whole chapter.
Sir, I'm
And
having some doubts in force and pressure.
in force and pressure, you're having doubt.
Same, sir.
Okay, you're also having doubt in that chapter. Okay, okay. Chakrika, you have any other questions? Like you were saying, you have doubt in metals and non-metals, yeah?
Yes, sir, but we haven't completed the whole chapter, so I only have doubts in some parts.
Okay, okay. Like in the while we had the extra class there, I think we had completed the whole chapter. I think, but in your school, you are saying the whole chapter has not been completed yet.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. You guys just give me 5 or 6 minutes. I will be just I would like to sum up the chapter for you guys, okay? And then we are going to take up your doubts from force and pressure and from metals and non-metals as well, okay? So, guys, in the chapter so far, we learned about what is adolescence. We learned that organisms are capable of participating in reproduction only after a certain age in their lifespan. Particularly, we learned about adolescence. It was the period of life between the childhood and the adulthood. They are going through a phase of transformation where the body will be developing. The body will go through physical changes, through psychological changes, through social changes, right? And they will be development of the reproductive organs also, and typically occurs between the age of 10 to 19. That is one thing. So we learned about puberty as well. Particularly in the case of adolescence, we were learning that it's the we talk about the broader development stage in this. We not only talk about the physical changes, but we talk about the emotional changes, the cognitive development, and the social changes also. That is making a person from a child to an adult. Well, in the case of puberty, we learn that it's specifically talks about the uh, physical changes that is taking place in their body because of which they reach the sexual maturity. It begins by the age of 9 to 14 in the case of girls. In the case of boys, it begins by 10 to 15 usually. That is one thing. We learned about some of the significant changes that takes place in the male and the female body distinctively, and we also learned about the some of the common changes. We learned about the uh, growth of the larynx. Basically, what happens in the case of the larynx, the muscles would become thicker, and it would become thicker and larger. Particularly in the case of the voice, it becomes more thicker and larger. That's why it is visible and was being called as Adam's apple. Here you guys can look at the structure of the larynx. They are two cartilaginous tissues that you guys can see here, that they are vibrating, and this is the windpipe. So as the air will be blowing through it, as the air will be passing through the larynx now, these vocal cords vibrate, and that's why you are able to produce the sound. So we learned about this. We learned about there will be increased secretion of the oil and the sweat, and that can lead to acne. It can lead to pimples, and that so many other problems. But at the same time, they are important also. As we know, we humans, we animals, and the humans, they are warm-blooded animals. Particularly, the humans are warm-blooded animals now. They can regulate their body temperature. And how do they regulate their body temperature? By the sweat gland, with the help of the sweat gland. You know that evaporation cools down something, no? If evaporation takes place from something, thereby the body surface is cooled down. And this happens in the case of the plant also. By the process of transpiration, the plants will be able to cool down their body temperature. That is something which we have learned. Further, we learned that there will be increase in the height. Increase in height, particularly, it occurs because of the elongation of the bones of the limbs, particularly bones of the arms and the legs. These are the bones of the arms here, humerus, radius, and ulna. And these here are the bones of the legs. The longest bone, that is the femur, and then you have tibia and fibula. So the length of these bones would be elongating. So that is something which we learn. Further, we also learned why the shape of the body of the male and female will be different. In the case of the boys, the shoulder and the chest will become wider. Also, one important thing you guys would have noticed that in the case of the boys, their shoulder are more broader as compared to the girls, because the shoulder blade, you guys understand now what is shoulder blade?
No,
Because
sir.
no.
No.
Okay, just 1 minute. The shoulder blade, what I'm trying to say, it is actually more wider. It is more wider in the case of the boys. That is why their shoulder are more wider. So this is actually what I'm actually talking about. 1 minute. See this bone that you guys are seeing here. This bone, that is the shoulder blade. That is the shoulder blade. See, now it will be visible properly. You can understand this. Getting it?
Yes, sir.
So this scapula that you guys are seeing now, this is structure which I'm going to highlight here, that is called as the shoulder blade. And it's a common thing that we get to see that it is more broader in the case of the male child. And that's why their shoulder are more broad. Is that clear to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Further, we learn that why the height of the height of the family members are same, because the children have inherited the same characteristics from their parents. But sometimes you will see that although the children say for sometimes no there is an exception in some situation that the child might be longer as compared they will be taller as compared to their parents. So the thing is that this is generation 1, for example. This is generation 1, for example. This is generation 2. In the first generation, the parents, this is the male parent, this is the female parent. In this one, let us say that the male parent was tall in the first generation. Okay, now. And in this generation number 2, let us say male and female, both of them were of the equal height. Let us say they were of the equal height. And in the third generation, what we're going to see that the children that will be born here, now let us say they have 4 children. Out of these, the 3 children might be having the similar height. They will be having the similar height, but the 4th child will be having a height. They will be it will they, he will be he or she will be having more height as compared, they will be more taller as compared to their other siblings. Getting what I'm trying to say? Because the characteristics passes on from generation after generation. So this tall characteristics that this child has inherited, it has actually inherited from his grandparent actually, right? Now, so the genes passes on generation after generation. Getting it what I'm trying to say? So although the height of family members, they are generally same, but there can be some exception that we are seeing that in this generation, in the third generation, one of the child is taller as compared to the other. And he is the tallest in the family. Why? Because when we go to the first generation, in that the male parent was taller. So that could have been the reason. Further, we learned that there will be development of the sexual organs also. There will be development of the reproductive organs. That also takes place in the puberty. Further, we learned about the secondary sexual characteristics in the male and the female. What kind of secondary sexual characteristics happen? Like in the case of the boys, there will be growth of facial hair, growth of hair on the chest, in the arm, and in the pubic region. In the case of the girls, we have learned development of breast and growth of hair under the arms and pubic area. These were the secondary sexual characteristics. Okay, and further, we learned about types of gland, namely exocrine and endocrine gland. We learned about how they function. Particularly, we learned about how the hormones will be functioning right now and how they will be initiating different kind of changes in the body. So these things we have learned. We have learned about the determination of the sex of the baby also. In this, which we have learned that they are thread-like structures called as chromosomes that are present in the nucleus of each and every cell. right? Further, we have learned that there are about 23 pairs of chromosomes in the body. Out of the 23 pair of chromosomes in the body, 2 of them are the sex chromosomes, namely called as X and Y chromosomes. In the case of the females, they have 2 XX chromosomes, while in the case of the male, we learned that they are X and Y chromosomes. So in this, we learned that while in the process of fertilization, if the sperm is carrying the X chromosome, and if it were to fertilize with the ovum carrying the X chromosome, so thereby the zygote form will be having an XS chromosome that will be a daughter. And in the case of XY, if the sperm is carrying the Y chromosome and the ovum is carrying the X chromosome, thereby the zygote will be having this setup of XY chromosome, and the child born will be a son. Got it so far now? Further, we learned about some of the other hormones other than the sex hormones. Particularly, we learned about the thyroxine hormone that is produced by the thyroid gland. Okay, we learned that it controls the rate of metabolism in the body. Pancreas, it secretes glucagon and insulin, and both of them together will be maintaining the blood sugar level. We learned about the adrenal gland. It produces adrenaline hormone. Particularly, adrenaline is secreted by medulla. The adrenal gland can be structured into two parts, cortex and medulla. So adrenaline is being secreted by the medulla, and it has several functions in the body. It manages the stress level, it can increase the blood sugar level, it dilates the pupil, it increases the heart rate, plus it enhances the supply of blood and oxygen, oxygen and blood to the different cells in the body. Further, it maintains balance of water and balance of salt in the body. So it has got several functions to perform, which we learned. Further, we learned about the pituitary gland, that is the master gland. So it will be controlling the function of all other glands. Particularly, it secretes two main hormones. One is the prolactin that stimulates the production of milk. Basically, will be stimulating the mammary glands in females to produce milk. Further, it secretes growth hormone that will be responsible for growth of a person. We learned about the parathyroid gland. It secretes hormone, which maintains the level of calcium in the body. You know that our body requires adequate amount of calcium to function. It is important for the healthy growth of the bones and for the healthy functioning of the nerves. It is important. Suppose if the calcium in the bones increases too much, so this parathormone will be stimulating the bones to release the extra calcium into the blood. So this is how it works. Or for example, if too much of parathormone is produced in the body, so it will make the bone lose too much of calcium, because of which the bones will become weaker and brittle. It might break. So we have learned about this. We learned about the pineal gland. It is called as the third eye, as it is located in the middle of the brain, in between the two halves of the brain. And it is secreting a main hormone by the name of melatonin. And melatonin will be responsible for maintaining the biological clock, for maintaining the internal clock of the body. When you are going to sleep, when you're going to wake up. So basically, the rhythmic action, the sleep or the wake cycle of the body was being controlled by it. We learned about this role of hormone in completing the life cycle of insects and frogs also. There, particularly thyroxine hormone was responsible for bringing about metamorphosis. We learned about the importance of maintaining hygiene for the adolescents, and what is the role of proper balanced diet in being healthy. So all those things we have learned. Okay. So you guys had questions from force and pressure, right? Abdullah and Gauri?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can you tell me in which particular topics you guys are having doubt? First,
Sir,
you tell me, Gauri.
sir, air pressure
Air pressure. Okay. And
and vitamins, sir.
okay, Abdullah.
Yes, sir. A
Yeah.
doubt that when a nuclear bomb is dropped on land, is it called a pressure or a force?
Is it repeat your question again?
So when a nuclear weapon is dropped on a land, it is called force or pressure.
Okay, okay.
And what is its nucleus?
What is it?
Uh, what is it?
Repeat the next question once again.
Nothing, sir. This much.
Okay, Gauri, any other topic?
Yes, sir. Variation of atmospheric pressure with altitude.
Okay, okay. Variation of atmospheric pressure with altitude.
Yes.
Okay, let me answer the first question first of all. Talking about the air pressure. In order to understand this, we need to talk about the basic thing that we know that whether it be a solid medium, liquid medium, or the gaseous medium, all of them constitute particles in them. Right now, say you have a solid block, solid object. So the particles of them of the solid object are arranged compactly like this. Right now, like for example, this is a solid object. The particles here, basically the atoms, they are completely packed, compactly packed. Right, Gauri, Chakrika, everyone.
Yes, sir.
Say this is a liquid medium. So liquid medium, there is some gap between the particles. There is some gap. Okay, no? So thereby they are having some gap. So thereby the atoms are more free to move here because of the gap between them. So thereby, for example, if you were to take a glass of water, or just take a water bottle, for example, take a water bottle and take two bottles. Okay, na? In one of them, let's say you are going to put some sand. Okay, in another one you are going to put some water or some other kind of liquid. And if you were to make holes in them, in which one you guys will be seeing that the liquid will be coming out with great pressure? In which one? Will the sand be coming out with great pressure, or will the water will be coming out from the holes with great pressure?
Water.
The water.
Water, exactly, no. And sands will also be coming out, but it will be coming out kind of like this, but not with that much of pressure. Why? Because the particles of the liquid are in more motion. They are having more amount of energy, right now. And if the gap between the particles were to be increased, so their energy will increase further now. Suppose now we take some gaseous medium. See that this is the gas. So here the particles are spread like this. There is more space between it, isn't it? Roni, Chakrika, everyone.
Yes,
Right
sir.
now. So they will be applying more pressure. They will be applying more pressure. Now, what we know about pressure, pressure equals to force applied upon any given area now. Force upon area. So in the case of the liquid, what we have learned that these molecules of the water, these particles of the water, they are going to hit the walls of the container in which they have been kept now. It is going to hit the wall of the container with some force, isn't it? Yes, Gauri?
Yes, sir.
It is going to hit the wall of the container with some force, and it is going to hit some particular area of the container with some force, no? So it is applying force on a given unit area, and there are so many uncountable number of molecules of water. So together we will call that all the molecules of the water are applying force on the walls of the container, and they generate pressure. Similar to that, as we know that the particles of the gases are also in motion. So if they were to be stored in a container, they will be hitting the walls of the container in which they have been kept. They will be hitting the wall of the container with some force, and thereby they will be generating pressure. So that is the concept of the pressure in the gas. So gases, they also exert pressure on the walls of the container, and molecules of the gas have higher amount of energy. Energy due to motion is called kinetic energy. If something is moving, they possess kinetic energy. So they have more kinetic energy. So they'll be applying more force on the walls of the container. Right now, that is one thing. Further, answering your next question, that how due to height it will be increasing. For that purpose, let us take this. Say this is a column of air, okay, and this is a unit area on which the this column of air is going to apply some pressure. Now we know that as we go higher up in the atmosphere, the thickness of the atmosphere decreases now. Air becomes thinner. Why the air will become thinner? because there are less air molecules in the upper layers of the atmosphere. So say this is like this. And say that these are the air molecules. And look at the concentration of the air molecules. As we go higher up, as the altitude increases, so thereby there are less air molecules, isn't it? Right,
Yes.
Abdullah, Gauri, everyone. So there is less air molecule. So because in the as the depth is increasing here, as the depth is increasing, as we go towards the ground, there are more air molecules. So thereby the pressure is more. Just think about this box here. If you have a similar box, for example, a box of you have taken a box of similar size here. Both of them have same dimension, but in this, let us say that only these are the number of molecules here. These are the number of atom particles here. So which one will be having more pressure? This box, in this the air pressure will be more, or will the air pressure be more in the second one? Shikrika, what do you think?
In the
My
second one.
question to you guys is that, listen to the question once again. My question is that you have two given box A and box B. Now you can clearly look at the number of air molecules. You can look at the number of particles in the given box here. So A has more air particles, B has less air particles in it. There are less particles in this. So which one will be have experiencing more pressure? In which one the air pressure will be more?
A1.
A1, no? Obviously A1, because there are more air molecules in this now, more particles are there. So similarly, when we are looking in the case of this now, when we look at the layers of the atmosphere, in the lower low in the what do we say, in the lower levels of the atmosphere, there are more air molecules, there are more particles, thereby the pressure will be more. And as we go higher up, air becomes less concentrated, there are less particles in the air, less molecules are there, so thereby the pressure is obvious going to decrease, isn't it? Corey, getting it?
Yes, sir.
That is one thing. Okay, further, the weight of the air on this given unit area will be more now. The air molecules, they will also be having some weight now. Like
Yes,
if you
sir.
have one or two air molecules, it will be insignificant, but if there is so much of air molecules, it will be having some weight now. So the weight of the air in this column will be applying more pressure at this point here, at this given unit area. That is one thing. Okay, so hope this clears your doubt.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. You also had a question, right? Can you repeat your question, Abdullah?
Yes, sir. So when the nuclear weapon is dropped in land, is it pressure or force?
Okay, okay. Okay, I want everyone to think about this question. It's an interesting question that if a nuclear bomb is dropped, if a nuclear bomb is dropped on the land, so will it be a force or will it be a pressure? Say that this is a nuclear bomb. Yes,
Both.
both. Okay, what do you guys think? The moment the nuclear bomb is going to hit the ground, the moment the nuclear bomb is going to hit the ground. So first of all, try to understand this. This nuclear bomb, as it will be falling on a particular area here, right now, it will
Yes,
be falling for it is going to fall vertically. It is falling vertically here, and first it is going to hit on a specific area.
yes, sir.
So and it
Yes.
is going to fall with some force now. It will be hitting that specific area with some force now. So force will be applied on a given area. It will be applied on a given area. So here it will be applying pressure. Okay, now it will be applying a pressure. That is one thing. Hope it clears the doubt.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now. Okay, any other questions? Shakrika, you had some doubts. Did you drop the names of the topics in which you are having doubt?
No.
Okay, you can send it to the team or to me. I will resolve your doubts. Okay.
Oh, sure.
Okay, so that's it for today, guys. By the way, you guys tell me when was the first nuclear weapon dropped, and it was dropped on in which country, in which place?
In Japan,
Particularly
in Hiroshima.
Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Okay, so in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, when was it dropped? It killed nearly, you guys know, it killed nearly 2 lakh people. Nearly 2 lakh people were killed in this explosion.
Because of the dangerous gas also.
Exactly. It releases so many radiation also, no? It releases radiation because of which the living organisms will not be thriving in that region. Okay.